This morning, all eyes are on a federal courthouse in downtown Atlanta, where, after more than 2 years of investigating, Fulton County DA Fani Willis is expected to lay out some of her case against former President Trump and his 18 co-defendants, all charged with trying to overturn Trump's 2020 election loss in Georgia.
The defendants engaged in a criminal racketeering enterprise.
Today's hearing centers around Trump's former chief of staff, Mark Meadows, and his push to move his case to federal court. But the DA has subpoenaed key witnesses, including Georgia's Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, who was on the receiving end of that now infamous phone call from then President Trump.
I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state.
It comes as a federal judge in Washington is expected to rule regarding a different case against Mr. Trump, preparing to set a trial date in his federal election interference case. Special counsel Jack Smith wants to start in January 2024, but Trump attorneys pushed back, asking for April 2026, well after the presidential election in which Mr. Trump is currently the GOP frontrunner. And in Georgia, the DA wants to start in late October, though a judge has not yet signed off.
These trial dates also are going to move. It's unrealistic. It's theatrics.
All of it comes on the heels of Mr. Trump's historic surrender last week and that mugshot, which is proving to be politically profitable. The Trump campaign reports it's raised more than $7 million since last week's surrender, in what the campaign calls its most profitable 24-hour period ever.
And as for that push to move the trial to federal court, a former chief of staff, Mark Meadows, and several others have made that request. The former president has not yet done so, though he is expected to follow suit. Now, legal experts say that that could likely mean a more sympathetic judge and a more politically diverse jury pool. Craig.
Blayne Alexander for us there in Atlanta. Blayne, thank you.
We now want to get more on these cases from NBC's senior legal correspondent, Laura Jarrett. Laura, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Great to see you. Let's start with that federal case in Washington, D.C. on allegations of election interference. What could factor into Judge Chutkan's decision about a trial date? They're asking for trial dates that are nearly 2 years apart here.
Right. The two sides are light years apart. And I think today we're going to get a little preview, a little insight into the judge's thinking. Obviously, the government is clear. They want this trial to happen before the 2024 election. And so even if they say January, they know it's probably going to get delayed a couple times. And so that at least gives them a goal that allows them a little bit of leeway. But of course, it's in the thick of the primary season. Trump's team says, let's have it happen almost 3 years from now. I don't think we're going to see the judge sort of split the baby here and do something in the middle. And I think it's largely going to depend on whether she thinks that the former president has said anything in his social media posts that's potentially problematic, where she thinks it's going to change the jury pool and we need to do this fast. So we're going to get a preview of her thinking today for sure.
All right, let's go from D.C. to Georgia now. Again, the former president's chief of staff, Mark Meadows, now his co-defendant. He's trying to, as Blayne pointed out, trying to get that case moved from state court to federal court. What could be the thinking there?
It seems as though it in part, at least, is the thought that you get a larger jury pool if you go into federal court. But the idea that you can just necessarily say, well, a larger jury pool means I win, I think that that's stretching it a little bit too far. The thing to remember that is more interesting, in my perspective, is no cameras in the courtroom of federal court. And he might find that advantageous. And it's also interesting to think, why hasn't the former president asked for this case to be removed to federal court? He was a federal officer when it was happening as well. He hasn't asked for that. And I wonder, is it just sort of the dysfunction on the legal team? There was a shakeup at the last minute. Is it some sort of strategy, recognizing that the judge in this case might not be favorable? He was appointed by President Obama, whereas the judge in Florida, President Trump appointed that judge. I don't know the thinking there. We're trying to get some more reporting on it, but it's worth noting former President Trump has not asked for that case to go.
Laura, following up on that point, I mean, what are the broader implications here? If Meadows wins, does that mean that the entire case gets moved to federal court, including former President Trump?
So that's been something we've been looking into, because in the civil context, you do see that sort of 1:1 goes to all, and they all move down there. But it's not clear in the criminal case that that should happen. It might just be Mark Meadows' case goes to federal court. And you also see at the same time other co-defendants still having their case in Georgia. Some of them actually want a speedy trial in Georgia. So it's just underscores what a sprawling case you have in Georgia, even though this is the mirror image of the election case playing out also in D.C. It's sort of a lot of different cases on the map here to keep track of.
All right. Our senior legal correspondent, Laura Jarrett, helping us keep track of it all. Thank you, Liz.
Great to see you, Laura.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't miss the Today Show every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific on our streaming channel, Today All Day. To watch, head to today.com/allday or click the link right here.